Hi, my name is Nurul. I will tell you guys about history of the Ottoman Empire. The era of rise Ottoman Empire. Anatolia was divided into the patchwork of independent Turkish principalities which is known as the Anatolia Beyliks. The region of Bithynia on the frontier of the Byzantine Empire was led by the Turkish tribal leader Osman I. After the death of Osman I, Ottoman Empire rule began to extend over Anatolia and the Balkans. Much of this period was fully characterized by Ottoman expansion into the Balkans. The Ottoman had already wrested control of nearly all former Byzantine lands surrounding the city. Expansion and peace era. The son of Murad II, Mehmed the Conqueror, reorganized the both state and military. The tension between the state of Western Europe and the later Byzantine Empire, the majority of the Orthodox population, accepted the Ottoman rule as preferable to Venetian rule. After the Ottoman expansion, competition began between the Portuguese Empire and the Ottoman Empire. France and the Ottoman Empire united by mutual opposition to Habsburg rule and they became the strong allies. The success of Ottoman political and military establishment was compared to the Roman Empire. Stagnation and reform era. The Ottoman Empire came under increasing strain from inflation and the rapidly rising costs of warfare that were impacting both Europe and the Middle East. This crisis was led to a series of crises around the year 1600, placing great strain upon the Ottoman system of government. The empire underwent a series of transformation of political and military institutions in response to these challenges. This period of renewed assertiveness came to calamitous which is end in 1683.
My name is ADILA. I will continue about the history of Ottoman Empire. Ottoman border on the Danube and Sava remained stable during the 18th century. Russian expansion presented a large and growing threat. The King Charles of Sweden welcomed as an ally in Ottoman Empire following his defeat by the Russians at the Battle of Poltava, 1709 in central Ukraine. The Austro-Turkish War, the Treaty of Passarovic, confirmed the loss of Banat, Serbia and Little Wallachia to Austria. 1734, artillery school was established to import Western-style artillery methods, but the Tanzimat period, the government series of constitutional reforms led to a fairly modern army, banking system reforms, the decriminalization of homosexuality, the replacement of religious law with secular law, and guilt with modern practice. The Christian population of the empire, owing their educational levels, start to put ahead of the Muslim majority. Author Norman Stone suggests the Arabic alphabet, which Turkish was written until 1920. Young Turk movement. The defeat began with the Second Constitutional Era. Restored the Ottoman Constitution of 1876, brought in multi-politics with two-stage electoral system under the Ottoman Parliament. Members of the Young Turk movement had gone underground, now established their parties, and among them Committee of Union Progress, also Freedom, and Accord Party were major parties.
Hi, Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Nurul Husnina. So today I will present about art. Here is examples of art which is ethnic heritage, ceramic canteen, and Ottoman art often defied the Islamic taboo of representing animals and human figures. The next one is calligraphy, and usually this calligraphy use Arabic style. While Anatolia rugs or Turkish carpet represent an essential part of the regional culture, which is officially understood as the culture of Turkey and derives from the ethnic, religious and cultural pluralism of one of the most ancient centers of human civilization. And the last one is pottery. Element colors used is blue or green color. They also put another calligraphy in pottery design and traditional element in the pottery element. The next one is Ortaköy Mosque. Previously, there was a little mosque built by Mahmud, the son-in-law of the Vizier Ibrahim Pasha, on the former side of the mosque. The building has large and high windows. There are 3 large round arch windows in 2 rows on the other 3 sides of the harem outside the entrance hall. Of these, the lower middle window of the Qibla facade is depth and a mihrab is placed here. The mosque, which is a very elegant building, is in Baroque style. It consists of 2 parts, harem and doner kebab. Wide and high windows are arranged to carry the variable lights of the Bosphorus into the mosque. Corner fillings are decorated with embossed intricate plant motif, while the interior walls of the mosque are decorated with red and white more pink colored stone imitation plasters. We continue with building and architecture. The first one is Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia is a religious building in Istanbul, Turkey, considered to be one of the most relevant monuments of architecture from the Eastern Roman Empire. Important element of Hagia Sophia dome is supported by 4 penontives that were built at each corner of the square base of the cathedral. The decorations within the Hagia Sophia at the time of construction were probably very simple.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Ruslan ATHIRAH. Today, I would like to present about Ottoman architecture. Sulaimaniye Mosque. The construction of the Sulaimaniye Mosque started in 1550 and ended in 1557. The public call it the mosque that will remain forever. The 4 minarets of the Sulaimaniye Mosque represent the 4 sultans who took the throne after the conquest of Constantinople, while the 10 balconies on the minarets refer to Sulaiman's being the 10th Ottoman Sultan. Sulaimaniye Mosque complex blended Islamic and Byzantine architecture elements. It combined tall, slender minarets with large domed buildings supported by half domes in the style of the Byzantine church Hagia Sophia. Dolmabahce Palace. Dolmabahce Palace was ordered by the empire's 31st Sultan, Abdulmajid I, and built between the years 1843 and 1856. The project was realized by architect Garabet Balyan. The design contains eclectic elements from the Baroque, Rococo, and Neoclassical style, blended with traditional architecture to create a new synthesis. The palace layout and decor reflect the increasing influence of European style and standards on Ottoman culture and art during the Tanzimat period. The palace retains elements of traditional life and features of traditional Turkish homes. It is strictly separated structurally in a southern wing, which contains the public representation room, and a northern wing serving as the private residential area for the Sultan and his family. Sultan Ahmad Mosque. The Sultan Ahmad Mosque, popularly known as the Blue Mosque, was completed in 1617, just prior to the untimely death of its then 27 years old eponymous patron Sultan Ahmad I. Architectural and decorative element in the mosque building program and its symbolic placement at the imperial center of the city point to a departure from the classical tradition, innovative under the famous 16th century master architect Mimar Sinan.
Hi, my name HANIS SYAKIREEN. Now we can see at this slide about culture of the Ottoman Empire. In culture of the Ottoman Empire have visual arts, performing arts, language and literature, sports and others than that. Numerous traditions and culture traits of previous empires who developed them into new forms, resulting in a new and distinctly Ottoman culture identity. Next is about religion of Ottoman Empire. In 15th century, the empire had a Christian majority under the rule of a Muslim minority. Late of 19th century, the non-Muslim population of the empire began to fall. Now, about the education. It will focus on literature. It have two primary streams of Ottoman written literature are poetry and prose. Ottoman divan poetry was a highlight about ritualism and symbolic art form. The novelist Ahmad Mihad Effendi wrote important novels in each of the major movements. It can see through romanticism, realism and naturalism scene. Lastly, about the language. Ottoman Turkish was the official language of the empire. Turkish, in its Ottoman variation, it was a language of military and administration since the nascent days of the Ottomans. The post-Tanzimat period French became the common Western language among the educated. The ethnic groups continued to speak within their families and neighborhood that people call mahalles with their own language. In villages where two or more population live together, the inhabitants would often speak each other's language. Cosmopolitan cities, people often speak with their family language. Many of those who were not ethnic Turkish would speak Turkish as a second language.